has always been faithful to me, and many times I don't even feel like I deserve it, but I just know that He's on His grace, just like He is, like He's a God that doesn't look at our weaknesses. He just wants to help us. He just wants to save us. He just wants to be there for us. And looking back at it, I looked at so many experiences I've had, like wilderness experiences that God came through for me. And today, let's talk about a particular one of it. Not like it's that particular, like it's the most special out of all the wilderness experience I've had, but I just want to talk about this today. I was actually going to resume school for my second year doing my diploma, and I already had plans of where to stay and who I was going to stay with, because I wasn't going to rent my own apartment. We already had an agreement, so I thought actually that I was going to stay with her. And then I just packed my bag and off I went to school. Hopefully, no, not like hopefully, I already had the concrete plan that I was just going to go straight to her house. I know where she lived because she had already promised me, like she already told me that should be allowing me stay with her, although she has one of our family members who also schooled in the same place as both of us, that is actually staying with her. And of course she wanted to just help me because she felt like I needed the help and all of that, and I was so grateful. But that was not the point. The point was that I felt that okay, she had already given me a word I was going to stay, and then I just went to her place. I got there, and to my wildest shock, she just casually said that she didn't have a place for me. I was so shocked. I didn't have my family members here. I didn't even know what to do, and I just felt like, what can I do? I left home since morning, and I got to school in the evening. Like it took so many hours before getting to school because of the distances from one state to the other. I had to like cross like one state before getting to my school and all of that. So it felt like, what am I going to do? I felt so stranded. And before this time, I was having this particular church program at some point where I think we're in the middle of a prayer. I'm not so sure right now, but it was in the church, and I believe that I heard God trying to reaffirm that He will never leave me stranded, and that has actually stayed with me. Although when situations happen, sometimes you don't remember the promises, because it feels like, oh, how is God going to save me in this situation now? How is this going to turn out? I don't know what to do. Like the situation feels so much like you don't know what God can do in that situation, because you put God on the same scale as you, because you know that you don't know what to do in that situation. You expect that God will not know what to do as well, but we overlook the fact that, or we take our eyes off the fact that that is why God is God. He's trying to come into situations that are impossible to make Himself known. So I was there, I was sitting, I can remember I was sitting, on like a paper. There are many rocks around the school. We weren't staying in the school, but around the community of the school, it's a rocky area generally. And I was just sitting on one of the rocks, if I can remember clearly now, and I was just crying, thinking to myself, who am I going to call? What am I going to do? I was just thinking to myself, oh, this is an hopeless situation. And then I have a friend, and she was like, oh, I have a small space, maybe you should just come and still crash till you're able to find out what you want to do. But I just felt like I didn't want to inconvenience her. I knew, like, she had already explained how tight the space was and everything. It was like an impossible situation, because I just didn't want to inconvenience her. Not like I already had a plan and all of that, but thankfully I had another person who stays around the school. So I actually got another person that I got to stay with, and it wasn't like an inconvenience at all, because the space was conducive for both of us and we could stay. During the time I was staying there, God opened my eyes to the solution that I got of having an apartment, and the money I just paid for it, and it was super super great. Like everything just started to fall in place, and it took me back to the moment where I was sitting on that rock, thinking to myself that the situation was really hopeless, that I didn't know what to do, and I just started to feel like, God, How many times have I felt like this? In situation when things happen, the first thing I do is cry because I always feel like, where am I going to start from? Is this not the end of this situation? Like, am I not going to be ashamed? Oh, I must have done something wrong to me for me to deserve this. I'll start thinking of all the things that would have I could have done to deserve everything, and just like God is God, He always comes through. And I don't even know the situation that you're in. I am saying this testimony not because I have my life perfect right now. I still have situations that I go through, and I know that there are still situations in the future that would warrant me to fully trust in God, that He still helps in the wilderness. And I'm just hoping that I remember this. So this is not a word for you listening to me alone. It's a word for me myself, that regardless of the situation we find ourselves, no matter how hopeless it is, that is the major reason why we have God. If we only needed God in the easy times, then maybe we may not really see the power of our creator, because the easy times are times when we feel like we can control things on our own. Even if it didn't turn out well, we will still have some sense of control over that situation. But in times where we feel like everything is out of reach, we don't even know what to do, we don't like, it is that time that the perfect will of God comes to stay, and God manifests Himself regardless of this wilderness situation that you're currently going through. Girl, whoever is watching this, I just want you to calm your nerves down and remember to talk to God. Sometimes we don't even remember to talk to God. Just like I've mentioned in my own situation, I'm not so sure if I remember to pray, but I know that God was with me in that situation. Okay, and even if I didn't ask Him, He knows that I needed Him and He came through for me. So if you're going through that situation and you don't remember to pray, that doesn't mean that God left you, or that doesn't mean that God just wants you to handle it on your own. Like, even when we don't ask for His help, sometimes God just steps into a situation, not like He's trying to push Himself on us, trying to force Himself on us, trying to force His help on us. But He knows that in that moment we're not just thinking straight. He understands our frail nature, He understands how our mind works. So I just want you to remember, even in this situation or whatever situation you're going to go through, that God works even in the midst of the wilderness. I don't want you to ever give up. I don't want you to think that you have come to the end of yourself. No, as a child of God, you can never come to the end of yourself, because God is always having as many plans as possible. God's plan is not limited to A to Z. Like, there are still as many letters in God's plan. Like, you can never come to the end of God's help. So I hope this has been able to bless you. I hope this has been able to encourage you that God is still rendering help in the midst of the wilderness. God is still coming through in the midst of the wilderness. There are many experiences I've had. This is just one of it, and I might not have gone into details, but I just want you to have like a preview of what happened, just to encourage you. I just want you to know that God still helps in the wilderness, and I just hope that this would continue to be what you're conscious of, not just you actually, and also me as well. I hope this has been a blessing to you. Kindly like and comment in the comment section how this has been a blessing to you, and please don't forget to subscribe. Bye.